Welcome to the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. I am the host, Attorney John Khosravi, and I practice U.S. immigration law exclusively. For more information about the program, please visit www.immigrationlawyerspodcast.com. Please note that this recording is informational only and does not constitute legal advice. Please consult with a licensed attorney for specific legal guidance that suits your case. Also, this recording is copyrighted and written permission is required for rebroadcasting. For more information about me, please visit www.jqqlaw.com. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 60 of the Immigration Lawyers Podcast covering September 25th through October 1st. Just to start, it was a horrible weekend this weekend with the horrible story of what happened in Las Vegas. My heart goes out to everyone who was involved and everyone who just had to even see the videos of what happened. It was an incredibly depressing and sad story, and hopefully these things won't come up or we can prevent them in the future. It's a hard transition to move on to talk about immigration stuff after that story, but we have to do what we have to do and keep things alive and keep things going. To start off, USCIS made an interesting announcement today. They're coordinating with the Social Security Administration when people are filing for EADs and setting up a system where the Social Security number is issued along with the EAD in some sort of method. So what they had to do is update Form I-765, which you have to be mindful for now when filing for an EAD. Make sure to file the new Form I-765. But on it, it has a discussion about requesting a requesting a Social Security number and getting it, and somehow they're planning on coordinating that with the Social Security Administration. So that should be something helpful that could alleviate a lot of the stress our clients go through when they have to go not only get a work permit, then after that go to the Social Security office and all the additional hassle that brings. Next, the USCIS Ombudsman's Office had a teleconference where they discussed the new employment-based interview system and what it entails and what people can expect. Obviously, there's going to be delays. You can't just dump that much work onto the desks of a bunch of USCIS field office employees who don't necessarily have employment-based training, or at least don't have that significant amount of it, and expect them to do things really fast. They did say that employment-based interviews will happen for I-485 applications submitted after March 6, 2017. So if you were able to get a adjustment of status application submitted before that time and it's been pending, hopefully you'll be able to get one approved without actually having to undergo an interview. That being said, because of the amount of extra weight and hassle it's going to create, I'm assuming they might ease it up a little bit, and in some really easy cases allow them to get the green card and adjust status without doing the interview. The interview itself, they could say it's just a quick review of documents, make sure everything's okay, and do the regular, questions about have you been a Nazi, have you ever murdered somebody, all those kind of stuff. But you could expect some re-adjudications of I-140s happening and questioning the basis of the approval in the first place. That's going to be inevitable, which is a big hassle, and really makes it incredibly important to have an attorney present at those kind of USCIS interviews. A lot of times, and this is a discussion I have with clients a lot, sometimes they ask me, do I need to have a lawyer there? And my just response now is every time you deal with the government, you need to have a lawyer present with you to protect your rights. Even if you're getting pulled over, ideally you'd have a lawyer, but because of the costliness of it and difficulty having an attorney present, that's not going to happen. But when you have an interview that's set up, scheduled with the government, even for an easy naturalization or easy adjustment based on marriage, it's much better to have an attorney with you than not, and it doesn't add suspicion for someone bringing a lawyer with them. I had a client today ask that too. If you come with me, will they be suspicious why I brought a lawyer? I've got nothing to be afraid about. And I said, no, it's just something that's necessary. I can go into the details of keeping the officer on their toes, being a witness, helping explain situations that might be difficult. There's a myriad of other reasons why an attorney is necessary. But I tell them, if you can afford it, bring it. But with an employment-based case, 100% going in without an attorney is a bad mistake. So we're living in week 2 of the travel ban, and because it hasn't come into place yet, we're still not really sure how it's going to play out and how difficult it's going to be, especially for getting the waivers. But one thing I didn't talk about last week was that there was some sort of travel ban instituted for 4 countries already, which I talked about in a previous podcast. A lot of Southeast Asian countries in particular that weren't accepting removal applicants, I guess. And there are certain bans on getting visas for higher-ups in those countries, and some tourist visas were canceled. So there is these so-called Muslim travel ban that it came in place, but now it adds North Korea and Venezuela, so it takes it out of the Muslimness of it. But there was those kind of travel bans that are happening already with 4 other countries. this week Cuba was added. If you don't know the stories, apparently Cuban embassy workers have been getting hit by allegedly some sort of sonic weapons that have been causing brain damage, nausea, and all these kind of issues. So essentially, it seems the U.S. has closed down their embassy because they can't do activities there, and because of that, U.S. visas for Cubans have all been suspended because most of the staff isn't there. So there's no visa interviews happening for Cubans to be able to enter the United States that way. I guess maybe they could go to Mexico or some other South American country and do visa processing there. But the embassy in Havana had been reopened. It's not working right now because of these attacks. That's an interesting little thing that happened. That was very interesting. Another thing that happened is DHS has announced, and it was in the Federal Register, that they're going to start collecting social media information on lawful permanent resident applicants and for naturalization applicants. So a lot of social media is going to be under scrutiny. Already we had Form DS 5565, I believe, that the State Department put into place as part of their extreme vetting for some applicants requesting non-immigrant or immigrant visas, where they put down their residential and work history as well as their social media handles and phone numbers and emails. Well, it seems that kind of stringent review is going to happen as well with USCIS applications and DHS. So that's something to be mindful for. In your questionnaires and your intakes, you're going to have to start asking for your handles, like for Facebook and Twitter and all that of your clients. I started asking that last year, primarily because for marriage applications, I wanted to make sure there's no stupid things on their applications. For example, on their social media. I had a client who was a club promoter. He got married, and because of part of his job, he had an Instagram account that was very big and famous and a lot of followers, and it was constantly with different women every time in every picture, and it was semi-provocative. And I said, listen, you need to clean this up. If they access that, very rare chance that'll happen, but if they access that and then they see you with all these different women, they'll question the reality of your marriage. And he explained, no, this is my work, I have to do this. And I said, for a couple months you got to stop it because your wife has to get her green card. So that was the reason I started collecting social media information back then. But now, they claim for security, all these kind of reasons. It's just the name of the game and what we have to do. So definitely add those to your intakes and make sure to review those for your clients to make sure everything is on the up and up and there's no issues that could come back and be a big problem for you in the future. One really messed up thing that's happened, it's been such a crazy couple of months with the hurricanes too and then the shooting, but there were stories about people being afraid to go to evacuation centers in Texas, for example, because of their undocumented status. They're afraid they're going to go there and ICE or CBP is going to bother them. Well, apparently ICE and CBP were not coming to those locations, at least from what I heard. But there's word that the questionnaires that FEMA, the federal something agency that helps people in distress, they ask about status of people that are requesting benefits, and potentially even in the forms written. I haven't seen the form, I was able to find it, but another immigration attorney told me about this, is that they say we might turn over this information to other government agencies, so essentially turning over that information to ICE, which scared a lot of people and caused them not to want to request FEMA help after the traumatic experience of the hurricanes in the southern states of the United States. So unfortunately, these government agencies are being really strict and scaring people big time. And again, it's not good, it's not conducive for a civil society when a population is completely afraid, especially when they've lost everything and only have the clothes on their back and they have kids in their hands but nothing to feed them, and they're afraid to come for help. In the agencies that take our tax money to do exactly that. Inevitably, these people are here, even if they're undocumented, they do pay taxes. A lot of times, they pay Social Security tax, but they're never going to get the money back because they may be using other Social Security numbers and such. So that part isn't good, obviously, but on the other end, they're not getting the fruits of their labor. They're taking money away from them but not giving it back. And so there has to be a balanced system. And at the end of the day, whatever the status is, it's not good for keeping people in our society down like that. There's a lot of anti-immigration people that might watch this would get really angry, but here in Los Angeles and in San Diego, Southern California, there's all sorts of these crazy kind of diseases, TB, tuberculosis, and another hepatitis outbreak, and it's happening in the homeless population that aren't getting the shelter and help they need, and they're getting these viruses and these bacteria, these diseases, upgrading and evolving them in their bodies, and then they give them back to us, and we don't have the defenses needed to stand against them. So when I see an immigration that and they're afraid to get help and they're sick and all this kind of stuff, inevitably it's going to backfire against us. Or their children will see the pain their parents are going for. The children might be U.S. citizens, and they grow up with a huge amount of resentment. And we have these kind of people in society, and all sorts of problems could erupt from that. So it just doesn't make sense to alienate such a group like that. Figuring out a way that works best for everybody is just the way to go. Well, we'll see what happens with that. That's a huge political topic that is always going to probably exist. And speaking about problems with especially poor people getting help, I had a client that called me last week, and the situation was this: client wanted to do a marriage case, but they're moving to another state in the southeast. And I said, listen, if you're doing a marriage adjustment case, it's better you have a lawyer that's local that can come with you to your USCIS interview. The case had some affidavit support issues, the relationship was relatively new. I say you're going to need somebody to go with you, especially if they're going to be in that state in the South. And I'm not familiar with the field officers over there and how lenient they are and how much we can work with the officers. You don't want to go there without a proper shield and defense of having an immigration attorney with you. So, I said good luck and everything, but stay in touch. They got back with me or asking me a question. They said that the new lawyer they found and the applicant at this point was at a status that overstayed their visa. They said that their attorney had said, as long as you sign a contract with me, that'll protect you from ICE and CBP and all that, because you've shown affirmatively that you hired a lawyer to file your case. Because of that, you'll be protected from removal proceedings. And I was just amazed of how ludicrous and how despicable this person was to make such an claim to close a deal on a contract and to get paid. And so I immediately told them, stop that. And they unfortunately had already paid him, and they're trying to get their money back. And I said, get away from this person. They can't be straightforward about something like that, that it's somehow saying the act of signing a contract with an attorney is a reason why someone could stay in status or stay away from removal proceedings. Is ridiculous. At the most, filing for adjustment puts a stay on the accumulation of lawful presence days, and frankly, I'm assuming ICE officers won't pick up somebody who has an adjustment status pending because they're in the process. It's a waste of resources to go after that person. There's so many other people who don't have that chance. So typically a person with adjustment pending is not too afraid of being picked up for removal proceedings, but it is possible, and it's possible at that time maybe put the removal proceedings on hold or adjust status in court. All that is doable, but it's a lot of wasted resources for the court, so it's not usually done. But to say that just simply signing a contract is going to create some sort of protection was ridiculous. And along with that, the LA Times had another story where this one woman was just like scamming, foreign people, getting paid from them, and then saying, I'm going to file for adjustment of status, for naturalization. The one story that they highlighted here was this one woman had left and wanted to come back in. She forged a travel document that was incorrect, and CBP put that immigrant in secondary, review the documents, and still let them in. And so that was amazing that CBP wasn't able to catch the issue, and they still permitted the person to be in. So a lot of times we're afraid of CBP cracking down on people that are lawful, who have maybe been outside the U.S. for 5 months, and they get hassled for why abandoning status and all these sorts of accusations. This person had a fraudulent identification number. There was misspellings on the forms even, they were still allowed in. But moving forward from that, the lady was so brazen. To get the secondary fee for attending the interview, she would meet people at the USCIS field office, go with them, and sit there for an hour waiting for an interview that was never scheduled, and there was nothing in the system for it. Eventually, she'd walk out and say, I have to go to the bathroom, leave, and never come back. And so she had money from both interviews, for the interview and for the application preparation, none of which ever happened. When people started asking her, the clients, like, who are you, where's your bar number, she looked for someone in the U.S. that had the same name as her and found a New York attorney and was practicing law under that person's name unlawfully. It's very despicable, scamming people out of this money, putting them in a more dangerous position, and just leaving it out in the blue like that. So it's sad to see these kind of situations pop up, and it happens a lot. Even notarios, just regular people, and lawyers. Unfortunately, the game is messy. The people we help are foreign. They don't speak the language. They're afraid and not sure what's going on, and they're very easy. It could very easily be taken advantage of, and it happens. And one of my goals in this podcast and working with all of you who are watching and listening, and the plans I have for my websites and these programs I'm designing, is to really clean up the game somewhat, so people won't be taken advantage of so easily, and have some resources to check things out or go to and review before they make a decision to hire an attorney. Unfortunately, people just usually hire the first person they call or the first person they meet. They don't do any additional research in that. And a lot of times the things I do, whether it be shopping for something, clothes or something like that, the first suit I see I want to buy because I don't feel like trying on different suits and constantly going back and forth and trying to get something. But you gotta go multiple people. And I even tell people that consultation with me and they're not sure. I say, listen, it's no problem. You should go talk to multiple people. See who you're most comfortable with, who you have the most confidence with, who explains the procedure the best, so you can tell that they know what they're talking about. Go do online reviews and see who these people are, because your life is in the balance. It's just like picking a doctor. And again, there was a story, and this is a horrible story, I might have talked about on the podcast before, of this one doctor. I think he was Lebanese, naturalized U.S. citizen. Before he naturalized and after, he was a cancer specialist, and whoever walked into his office, he'd tell them they have cancer, because he would get government funds from these special medical benefits and insurance that the government gives. So he was just making tons of money diagnosing people with cancer and killing them with chemotherapy and just destroying lives. And I'm thinking, like, did those people go for a second opinion? The second doctor would have noticed that there was no cancer. But they didn't. They stuck with what this guy said. Now, some might have done that, and then because of his expertise, or maybe they're also fellow people from this home country and just trusted the fellow citizen better, which is one issue immigration lawyers have when people from their own countries trust them and they get ripped off. But, dude, second and third opinion when it comes to your life, you got to do it. If there's multiple consultation fees, you got to do it. Scrounge that money together if you need to pay consultation fees, or go to talk to a couple of lawyers that don't charge consultation fees, but do what you need to do to make sure you make the best decision. I think it's just laziness that stops a lot of people. It's not even the money. I notice that's what stops me a lot of times, and I need to push through to get second and third and fourth and fifth opinions to make a right decision. Finally, today I want to end off on an interesting thing. I got a call today from a young student from Northern California. Apparently there's some sort of legal insurance plan that he was a part of, and he was asking if I'm a member of it so you get the benefits of that insurance plan. I said, no, I'm not. I've never been a part of something like that. I never even heard of something like that. Other than when I was really young, when I was in like end of high school, early college, one of my friends told me to come to this one seminar meeting for his group called Prepaid Legal, which was essentially one of those, I don't want to accuse them of something, I got to come back to me, but multi-level marketing, I think is the proper term, where he would bring me aboard, he would sign me up, and I would find two other people, and we just keep signing people up underneath us, and every time someone signed up and paid their membership due, they would get a percentage, that kind of game. And their racket was that they would say, listen, everyone involved, the good that they were selling was a monthly insurance plan where you pay a monthly amount, like $20-25, and when you need attorney services, you can get that. When I was younger, I didn't realize. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And what this gentleman did as well, and I think he got it through, it's through the University of California system, so it has some legitimacy intertwined with it. Now, I don't know about the other programs involved in this, but I was reading the schedule of benefits for this program, and it's actually called ARAG. It's some insurance plan. And it has various ways, like if you pay your dues on a monthly basis, you get like legal services, in-network ones for free, and then like discounted for out-of-network, that kind of stuff. And so he was telling me, like, I'm not part of that, and he gave me the information, so I asked him, like, let me know more about this. And it kind of confused me because the guy's paying like $20 a month, so $250 a year, and there's huge amounts of legal work when it comes to civil litigation that just come free once you pay that membership. And it's impossible for legal services to be apportioned in that kind of method. You never know how much work it is. It could be tens of thousands of dollars of work to pay a $20 fee and then get that much legal work. The quality is not going to be there if it even is there. So although it's connected somehow with the University of California system, I can't trust something like this. They have one small part. Immigration isn't part of the stuff that comes easily. And this is the paragraph they have where they explain their immigration benefits. And it doesn't make sense. I told them I wouldn't trust something like this, because what immigration attorney would do something like this? And at the same time, let me read the language, it'll be more clear. So, schedule of benefits, immigration. A service that gives you toll-free access to telephone network attorneys for legal advice and consultation for immigration processes and guidelines, filing and processing of applications and petitions, laws and regulations governing various types of immigration benefits, including asylum, adjustment of status, business visas, employment authorizations, deportation, and removal proceedings. So there's a phone number you call, and they expect to be giving detailed advice that's so complicated like that over the phone. That would take hours and have to review documents. It's just not possible to get that on a toll-free service like that. It further goes, document review of any immigration forms, document preparation of affidavits and powers of attorney, preparation for immigration hearings. How's that going to happen? Those are like thousands of dollars worth of legal services. And then it says, for additional immigration services, it covers all range of immigration services, but then it says, for additional immigration services, network attorneys provide a reduced rate of at least 25% off their normal rates for any representation-based immigration services. Network attorneys will bill the member directly. And, you know, I get people that call me a lot of times on the phone. I have a consultation fee, and they always ask, would this be deducted from legal services? And up till now, I say that, you know, if you hire me within 30 days, I'll deduct it for whatever the fee is going to be, just because it's easier to say. But before, I would say, listen, like, I don't even know how much legal fees are, because it's based on the information I get. Fees might be $2,000, they might be $5,000. So for me to say I'll be deducted from like whatever that number is, I'm just going to come up with that number out of the blue when I make a decision. So it really doesn't make sense for it to be deducted. You're just paying for that time for me to review it. People don't want to hear that, it's too complicated, so I stopped saying that. But when it says here that network attorneys provide a reduced rate of like 25% off their normal rates, I mean, we have an estimate of what our normal rates are, but if you're like me practicing, someone might come in that needs an I-601, or someone might come in that's some fraudulent entry. The rates just vary wildly, and depends on how competent the client is, if they have their documents or not. It's just a myriad of issues that could pop up that make the rate impossible to have a normal rate for these things. There's a huge variance in the rate. So when I see that one part that affects my practice area, I say, okay, I don't know if I can trust the rest of it, because I'm not sure what kind of attorneys will be part of this. Now, I might be completely wrong. I don't want to bash this service without really fully looking into it. If you're a member of this service or have information about it, please email me. My email is info@jqqlaw.com. And let me know what you think, or if you have an experience with these or are part of one of these networks, and how your experiences have been. Is it good, bad, or is it something I should join? Just how it works, because it doesn't make sense from this perspective I have right now, from where I'm sitting, that this be a legitimate thing. But apparently, you know, UC System's part of it. They issue cards, they have a monthly insurance rate, all this kind of stuff. So there's something going on there. I appreciate your guidance on that and your experiences. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. If you want to join the Facebook page, please email me at info@jqqlaw.com, and I'll send you the link to the group, and I can add you that way as well. And as always, feel free to email me personally. I would love to talk with you and get to know you better. Until next time, I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.